So, welcome to the Real Estate Life podcast. This podcast is hosted by Abiel Ballesteros, and today I want to introduce Tony Engel. He is the Chief Operating Officer for Sundance Property Management that has under management 8,500 units. He's currently responsible for all the business development, acquisitions, capital improvements for Sundance. Tony is also an active real estate broker in Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee for Sundance. He specializes in repositioning properties and has overseen over 100 million in renovation. Tony received a Bachelor in Science from Ohio State University and is also a current partner with me in a Columbus deal in Ohio that we just currently purchased that he also manages for us. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Abiel.
So Tony, so you have quite an extensive experience there with Sundance Property Management, but before we get into all that, I want to start from the beginning. Before you were doing all these acquisitions and capital improvements and property management, how did you get to this point? What was your first real estate experience?
Oh man, first experience was a small single family student rental on University of Cincinnati's campus. But what triggered it is, I've always been interested in real estate and just different avenues to kind of generate cash and make money. I'm a terrible employee. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. I like, I kind of like to do things a certain way, and I don't like being told what to do and how to do it when not be able to think outside the box. I think that real estate allows that. What got me started was I graduated from Ohio State. I was a operation manager for Kroger's, running a dairy plant. We made yogurt, sour cream, cottage cheese, and I had a roommate. And I was, I don't know, for whatever reason, I didn't go out that night, and I just sitting on the couch watching TV, and there was a book sitting on the table that his sister gave him for like Christmas or something. I didn't know it was a big black purple book. Old Robert Kawasaki cash flow.
Oh, like, classic.
Even throughout college and high school, I maybe read 3 books my entire life. I was the king of Cliff Notes or get the bare information. That wasn't my strong suit. I was always a numbers guy before I, kind of got into the operations side of the dairy and food industry. College, I dabbled in aerospace and I dabbled in architecture with different major changes. So numbers were always my thing. Reading wasn't. And I picked this book up and I didn't put it down. It was because it's just the concepts and, albeit basic, I'm sure there's a lot of guys out here listening that had read that book. It's kind of the platform. And then, another night, I did go out to the bar and I was drunk and I came home, sat on the couch and ate my, late night food. And it was an infomercial on from, God, who was that? Who was the infomercial king back in the day? It was like Carol. I can't remember the name.
Carl Icahn?
Is that it?
Yeah.
It came in like a big binder, and it had all these like pamphlets and stuff. And I don't know.
Is it Tony Robbins?
What's that?
Tony Robbins?
No. It was a real estate investor guy. It's going to drive me crazy. I think it was like the first real infomercial real estate.
Really?
And it's going to drive me crazy. Maybe I'll think of one.
Was it Rich Dad Poor Dad the first one that you picked up?
That was the first book I picked up. And then I bought this infomercial on how to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
I paid like $100 and got this big thing. And I started flipping through it. And then my business partner, who's is my best friend from high school, and we've been tight ever since. He's got a pretty interesting story as well. But we bought the rental property together. He's a professional poker player.
Oh, really?
That's all he's doing.
Yeah, that's his full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's got. I said,
how do you negotiate? How do you negotiate with that guy?
I don't. He's I'm the big idea guy. I'm the one throwing things against the wall. I want to do crazy stuff, and he's the one that says, I don't think we should do that. We work well together because I'm running a mile a minute, and he kind of makes me pump the brakes. So that's and that's how we got started. And I continue to look in real estate, and I bought the single family. We got lucky, did very well, learned a lot of things. I don't care.
What year was this?
What's that?
What year was his first acquisition in real estate? Was this before the
Probably
financial
like
crisis?
2006, probably
2006. Oh, so
2006.
you're in the right before the whole debacle happened.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
right in there. But they still give you all kinds of loans and everything else. And
Yeah.
that was the first one. And I don't care what they write in a book or what you read. Experience is everything. And a lot
100%.
of rude awakenings even on that one
Yeah.
deal. And a lot of things I learned that first deal that I still use this day, even albeit small. So that happened, and then I did a couple other deals, bought a personal house, bought another, single family up in Columbus because at the time I was still living in Columbus. And then I made another jump to take the Donald Trump class of real estate.
Yeah. You were
That
just
was
searching for knowledge. You were just trying to get
correct.
it
Yeah,
from wherever you can.
it was an expensive $20,000 knowledge game,
Ooh.
but and I got very little from it. But kind of my take on anything is just you just got to grab one thing. If you can
Yeah.
get one thing and take it, make it work for you, it's great. And what one thing was, I had a guy when I was fixing up my single family. I don't know if it was in the middle of a turn or what happened, and he just randomly stopped by. We started talking shop, and he was helping clean out his dad's old house right there on campus. At that time, campus was in a transition from students living on campus to the older generation still living in that neighborhood. And his dad had passed away, and he said, "Hey, you want to buy this?" And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, I was like, I got no money. I don't know how I'm going to get this done, but yeah, sure, I'll buy it. I go back to this class I took about wholesaling. I had no idea what it was until I took this class. And I was like, yeah, it's a good deal. I'll find someone. I called one of my real estate buddies. He put me in touch with somebody, and then somebody put me in touch with what was called at the time Pankler. And I said, hey, you want to buy this? And they're like, yeah, we'll buy it. And I made like $5,000. I was like, which at the time,
that still that just solidifies what you're doing. Your momentum is there.
correct. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is
yeah.
awesome. And when I did that, the Penkler group, that guys it was just Brent and Scott at the time, and they had really just started or decided to start a company where we were going to start flipping houses. And they said, hey, you interested in joining our team? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I was like, but I'm not quitting my day job. And luckily at the time I was operating a salad dressing jelly jam plant, and I was in charge of second shift. So during the day I was working with these guys trying to find deals. We did like close to 200 renovations in between 07 and 08.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot of houses.
We were moving.
Yeah, that's a lot of houses.
We were backed very well, and we were turning and burning, and then we got stuck with a handful.
Were you in charge of the acquisitions, or you were project manager, or?
I was mostly doing acquisitions, and then a little bit of oversight of the renovation side of things. As I was still kind of part-time and we were trying to figure out who we were as a company, I had already been in the rental market. So as when the guys started, I kept pushing for, hey, let's get some rentals. Let's do rentals. And, the process was, why do rentals when I could, spend $100,000 turning it and keep it growing? Like, I get it, but we need some passive income. We need, let's try this. And sure enough, the bottom fell out in 08, and, we couldn't sell anything because nobody could get a mortgage. So we were stuck about 30, 40, and we were in the room. We're like, all right, so what do you want? What do we do now? And I was like, well, we rent them. And they're like, yeah, we got no choice. And like, well, who's going to run them? And, I kind of got picked to be that guy in charge of property management because I was the only one who had any experience doing it in the group. Brent was kind of the money guy, so he wanted nothing to do with the operations. And Scott was he was an operation guy, and he was mostly on the construction and acquisition as well. So he, never really did rentals. So that's how I got into the rentals. And then
when you look back, when you look back at that single family, because I mean, everything you just mentioned right now is I could relate to it so well, because that's kind of the same background. I was buying a ton of houses. Were you living a roller coaster with the flips? Was it like one day you had a chunk of money coming in, the next one was not?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was hard. It was tough, man. And and I was helping the acquisition, so a lot of my income on the deals was how well a flip was done, or how well we bought, because it's like everything. The deal is in the purchase. It doesn't matter
Correct.
what you do after that. If you buy it wrong, you're in trouble no matter what. So
Yeah.
then, we were doing so many that we were over, leveraged on the construction side, and we had guys that just either weren't doing them right or taking advantage of it and charging too much. And now it's like, well, there's no profit now. We just spent 30,000, and now we're gonna make five. Doesn't make it now. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we did have our challenges there, but when we got stuck in 08 with those 30 or 40, I brought another concept to the table as we were, just leasing up to kind of cover our butt. And we were then refinancing the homes to kind of pulling some cash out. We still were sitting on a bundle of cash from all the old previous renovations and owners. And, Brent had some family members that were helping the renovations and things like that. And he wanted to keep them busy. So I kind of threw out on the table, like, why don't we there was still an abundance of properties, people were getting evicted left and right. So why don't we buy these things and then do a lesser or a rehab and rent them and then sell them to investors? And that's kind of what we started doing. We started, have investor meetings. We'd buy these homes, put, tenants in them, and then bund them up, and we're selling them at 10 caps to, investors from all over the place.
This is probably right after 08, right? 9, 10.
Yeah, right after 08.
Yeah.
And there was still guys with cash that, wanted to get in there, and if they didn't have cash, for a period of time, you could still manipulate the mortgage market a little bit. We'd own these things all outright cash, and then we would sell it to these owners on a land contract. Well, now they own them. They have the ability to go refinance, and they would pull out the refinance, and then they would refinance them. We'd get, they'd get more then that's how they would pay us back.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were still doing, 90% to 100% refis, which was crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
that's also how you're involved also with the property management.
Yeah, so that's how we started growing our property. So at the same time, we're like, all right, well, there's an opportunity to grow as a third-party property management company in terms of also doing the single family. And, I think that lasted for a good year. And, we got approached by a couple big REITs and hedge funds that were getting, into the single family world as well.
Yeah.
And we partnered with a couple different guys, two different groups, and basically we were helping acquire, do the renovations, rent them out, and then we would manage them for these REITs. And then in that same time, I was growing property management third party in different ways, different owners. We had a big group, American Homes for Rent, now is a publicly traded company, and I was walking by the one of my leasing manager's phones one day near the end of the day. And I rarely pick the phone up. I still don't pick the phone up if it's not my cell phone ringing. And I just grabbed the phone off the hook, and some guy was like, "Hey, we're getting ready to try to buy 500 single families in Cincinnati. We need a management company." I'm like, "All right, I've heard this story before. Fine." We set up a meeting, and sure enough, it was American Homes for Rent, and we helped them acquire and manage almost 750 units.
Wow. In what time frame?
At one point we were managing 1,000 single families, and then American Homes for Rent at that time, once they got to a certain number, it makes sense to manage your own stuff in house. And that was their motto. And they told us that from the beginning. So once they got to that size, they kind of brought it all in house. We lost that piece, but in the meantime, we were still investors and acquisition people. And, we had an opportunity to buy a 220 unit apartment building for $1.7 million.
Wow, what is that per door?
It was a mess.
It was like $15,000 a door.
Yeah, so we popped our cherry on probably one of the toughest projects that I still have done to date. We literally, I think there was probably 2 people on a lease that lived there, and probably 40 people that just so happened to be there.
That was the first leap from residential single family to multifamily.
To multifamily, and it was all the way down to the studs. And $8 million later, in 2 years, is what it about took us to turn that property around. We had it fully renovated. We built a new clubhouse. We built a new pool. Like I said, you name it, we've done it. I dealt with all kinds of issues. The first, I think, 3 months we had it, we had 2 people killed on the property and bodies found in the creek. I mean, and it wasn't a rough area. It was a
Just
bad asset in a
yeah.
area, and that's where all the trouble was going. And we had to clean it up completely. So it was to this day still the hardest and biggest lift I've ever been a part of. And
No,
helping.
whenever there is a lot of vacancy in these large apartment complex, it just brings trouble. And
It
I've
was
done
a
it many
mess,
times.
but
Yeah.
we sold it for $12.5 million.
Oh, sweet. You guys
Two
did
and a
great.
half years after acquiring it, and that's that was kind of the leapfrog for us. That hey, we need to start doing multifamily, and we brought another person to help with acquisitions, as I was just too busy running a property management company. And at the end of the day, running the property management company and being an acquisition company made it tough. We were good at acquisitions and we were just okay at property management. And, we wanted to be an acquisition company, but we found ourselves being a property management company first. So the model was just, what we wanted to do was kind of broken. And then, so what me and Scott did, we went out trying to find other property management companies to either acquire that already had the infrastructure and processes in place that we were trying to build. And what ended up happening is we ended up meeting Sundance Property Management. Me and Scott sat down, had lots of conversations with these guys, and Russ Corman, he wasn't interested in selling, but he kind of proposed a good option, like, hey, why don't we just manage all this stuff for you? Reduce the fees, partner on these deals, and you guys can just go do what you're good at, and that's acquisition. So
Yeah.
that's how the relationship started with Sundance. And then in that piece, I was kind of the middleman, stuck in limbo the whole time. I put the merger together. A lot of my income was still contingent on how well property management did and how good the assets were. My goal was still to grow management and help with acquisitions. And inherently, I just found myself gravitate towards Russ and Debbie, the owners of Sundance, and we worked out a partnership, kind of my principal ownership of Pankler, and switch it over to Sundance. And I'm one of the partners and owners.
Yeah, it's property management is. We do self-management here in Miami, and it's tough, man. It's a special breed. I think property managers that's not a job for everyone. A lot happens too, not just the property management side, but behind the back doors, on the financials, on the billing, staying organized. And I know that's something that in fact, working with you guys in Sundance has opened up my eyes how organized you guys are in the back door and how you guys structure. And I mean, your company does things with that appfolio that I didn't even know existed. So to me, it's an eye-opening to see what experts, how they manage and how they manage the backdoor side, the financial side, and stay disciplined too. Because that's another thing about property management company. Anybody go walk around a project and take notes and send emails out, but the follow-up, it's where it's at, and staying disciplined, stay on top of the contractors, punching out. I know that's always an issue. So you just knew your strengths and you knew where you wanted to go. And that's something that every investor, including myself, we have that, we find ourselves trying to figure out, am I a manager? Am I an acquisition? Do I go and raise money? Sometimes we were wearing so many different hats that, it got us to where we're at, but how do you get to the next level? So, so I understand that transition that you had there, and how you needed help, you knew your weaknesses, and you wanted to do what you really like to do.
So I guess I answered your question. First, real estate, with a long bio on myself and how I got to here today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my quick story.
Yeah. And are you still purchasing multifamilies?
We are. Yeah, we're still very active. I would say, personally in Sundance, we're still actively buying for the group, but we spend a lot of time helping our partners and people that are strategic partners in Sundance acquire. We'll look at deals and say, hey, I got a group that's perfect for us, and we'll put it in place of one of our partners that we already managed for. So yeah, we're helping our partners grow and ourselves grow through acquisitions, definitely.
Well, one of the things that I liked also with Sundance when we started working on the Ohio deal together was that I have support from you and your team, that if I can't keep up with the renovations, you come and step in and knock it out. And a lot of investors, don't know that property management companies call for that. I've interviewed a few property management companies, and in the past, a lot of them don't offer that off the bat. And if they do, the numbers are just insane. So that freedom that I know that worst thing, anything happens to my crew that's not able to manage it, I know I can reach out to you. Hey, Tony, can you knock out these units? Tony, can you get these kitchen cabinets? Tony, can you get the appliances, which you've been handling all over there in Ohio?
Yeah, I mean, we're not perfect in any fashion. We try to be, but I think it's just, we're investors kind of first, and then property management second, because we think a lot like our owners, which I think helps us be a good property management company. Like I said, again, we're not without our flaws. There's always things we can do better. But the piece of being able to do renovations, I mean, that's what we do, and that's what I've always done. So it makes it easy that someone like myself is in the organization, because Sundance didn't offer that before me either. And our ability to think like you guys makes it easier for us to do those renovations at a cost effective. We're big picture people. Like I don't need to get rich on these one deals. I mean, really that piece of our business is, I don't know, maybe 5% of our total gross
it's more
income.
of a customer service thing. It's more of like a service. Get
Correct.
the asset going.
We are a for-profit company, so I'm trying not to run a nonprofit here, but that doesn't always happen as much as I like. But yeah, I mean, it's just a service that I think you have to have if you're going to be a elite property management company. When you get to a certain level, I mean, their owners are going to expect that, and it gets expensive when you start running out and hiring some of these big other GC firms. They're necessary at times, but for the small projects, they're going to charge you 20-40% markup on, and I'm only charging you 10% because I got a small crew that's going to knock it out. So
correct.
Important.
Now, Tony, let's go into the most difficult deal that you've done, and kind of give me a solution how you solved that deal.
Man, most difficult deal. They're all difficult, right?
Yeah, they are. They all have.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? I mean, or at least be successful.
They all take a couple of years out of your life. For
sure. I mean, in terms of acquisitions and overall getting to the table, I mean, I go back to that first one, and was nothing harder than that. And then, in terms of property management deals, I mean, like I said, we're not perfect. We're not a perfect fit for everybody. We try to be. I've worked with multiple different syndication groups, and they can be challenging. A lot of the groups. What I love about you guys and your group of deals, you guys are in it. You know it. You run a property management company. You know the ins and outs. You can relate to some of the issues that we're having, and can be patient with what we're trying to do here. And a lot of these guys that get into this, they don't understand that side of the business. I mean, property management does make or break you. But you also got to have the support of the owners. They have to understand what real cost is to do things. I'd say the toughest. I had an owner who bought a property and literally brought me in the day before he closed. I walked all the units. I checked it out. The management company told him he had 10 vacants. He had 23. He's getting ready to close it. And he's like, well, he gave me the layout of what he wanted to do. And he said, I want to do it for $800,000. I was like, it's not going to happen. It's going to cost you about $1.5 million. He's like, well, I don't have that. I was like, I'm closing the bar. I was like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's what's going to cost. I mean, we do what we can. And, sure enough, I got in there. We started to help with the renovations. He wanted to use some guy he found, and it turned out to be a disaster. He tried to use this cheap roofer, turned into a disaster. Basically, how it is with these flat roofs with the ACs on top of the roof. If you don't get some guy that knows what they're doing, they literally broke every AC.
Oh, wow.
And that wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get heat. It was a challenge. I was trying to cut corners and help this guy out. And inevitably, we became the fall guys because we're the property management company. We're the first and we're the easiest to kind of blame or throw on the bus. And I get it. I mean, I really liked this investor. He was a good dude. And,
so if I'm a new investor and I'm a new syndicator, which it's become very popular business now.
Yeah.
When should I reach out to someone like you in my transaction? Let's say I'm under contract, I passed my inspection period, I'm gun-ho, I'm closing this deal. Should I be reaching out to someone like you now in that part of the transaction?
You're already too late. You're already too late. Where I like to come in and, and I think I add actually the most value is when you guys are underwriting the deal. So, do all your homework, get to the point where, okay, hey, we're getting ready to write the LOI. Can you just review this performing for me, poke holes, whatever we miss on the expenses? Here's what I want to do on my CapEx projects. Where am I off? Can I get these roofs done for 20,000? I mean, I replaced enough roofs. I'm like, no, that's probably a 50,000 roof, or run through some numbers, or, hey, you don't have enough of miscellaneous because it should be X, So I like to be part of the LOI side of things, and then at least help with the underwriting, try to poke holes. And obviously you never really know what you're going to get until you get into the deal and do the true the DD items.
I want to add to that, because one of the things that I've done with you already on the last 3 deals is during our inspection period, I'll call you up and I'm like, Tony, I need to get the whole squad to walk 300 units with me and your checklist. And we've done that in the last couple deals with you and Ronald. We're in Atlanta, and Ronald brought his maintenance crew, his assistant, his leasing agent, and he just helped us walk 300 and something units. Then recently, before we closed the 84 units, he walked it with us. And that right there, for me to have that support and that help from my management company, that I could just reach out to you guys, and you guys help me walk 200 or 300 units during that tight time frame, because usually that's how it is. You're scrambling in that time frame. To be able to see all these units, have another perspective, another pair of eyes looking at the project with you, that to me is golden. And I'll suggest to investors that reach out to your property manager and ask them if they'll walk these properties with you, and you'll see what type of caliber they are. And if they're willing to do it, that's a good thing. And that saved us a lot of trouble. In fact, one of them we ended up canceling. We ended up keeping one of the deals. So I agree. During inspection period, reach out to your property management company, have them walk with you. That's a great.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately help kill more deals than I probably help people acquire.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of bad brokers out there. There's also a lot of crazy deals and a lot of misinformation. And I mean, Sundance, we've been doing it for 28 years. So between myself and the other partners in this company, we've seen a lot of stuff. So, I'll put that in front of a lot of people's eyes inside the company, and, not to make this a sales pitch for Sundance, but, one of the things is we're willing to go down that rabbit hole with our owners. Hey, some deals work, some don't, and I'll send the whole team. And I'd rather spend that money and fly down there and spend that team and look at that deal with you guys versus letting you guys pick it up and then say, hey guys, you manage it. And, 6 months, 8 months into the deal, I'm like, we can't hit your numbers. Like we can't do it. So I want to be able to at least, kind of give my blessings.
It's also. I also would ask for your managers to advise also on the real actual rents, especially when you're not a local. I've made that mistake in the past where I go based on Zillow and Trulia, and I start doing my comp searches there, and I get all excited and I see the rents, but you guys actually have real data what properties are really going to rent for. So it's always good to run those numbers through your management company.
For sure. And that's probably one that I tell the investors looking to buy in markets that they don't currently live in is, I mean, those CoStar reports, even though as good as they are, at the end of the day, nothing really beats boots on the ground. I mean, if we don't have the information, we usually have the staff or the regionals and just bang on the doors and really talk to these, because CoStar gets the basic information. You get the basic off the apartment guides or the, what's on the websites, but doesn't always show that, hey, they're offering 2 months free rent, or they're got this huge concession that you're not normally seeing to get you in the door, or, it's not really renovated. They only got 2 renovated and they're really just getting you in the door at this low price. Boots on the ground during an acquisition is very, very important for anybody that doesn't live in the market.
Yeah. Now, Tony, what advice would you give listeners? If you were talking to the younger Tony 10, 12, 13 years ago, what advice would you give that person? Now that you've bumped your head many times.
Yeah, that experience is going to be the key in this game. I mean, I can tell you everything I know, and you could read every book, but until you actually get in here and understand it, it's really hard. You will see books and you will see people on podcasts talk about, find the professionals, find the right people to work with. And that is definitely the case. And focus, and you hit on it earlier, Abiel, is when you're in this industry, it's tough to do it all. and be effective. I mean, you can do it all. And there's some people that do it very well, but then they're limited on their growth and how effective or how big they can get. You can only manage, and you need to sit down and really decide on what you want this to be. Do you want it to be passive, or do you want it to be your job?
Yeah.
A lot of people think they just buy an apartment and it's just all of a sudden it'll be passive income, and it's rarely the case. So if you really want to be passive, you need to look to the professionals. Reach out to your local property managers. Be careful. There's a lot of bad guys that, because it's an easy business to get in. Doesn't create a lot of overhead to start it, but talk to a lot of people, understand what they're doing, and find the professionals, because property management is, if you're not already doing it, it's tough.
Yeah, 100%.
I own a property management company. I can promise you, if I ever got out of this, I would never manage my own property.
Currently right now, I manage that, and I do not want to grow my management company here in Miami. I made that decision about 2 years ago, and I'm like, I am good. I'm good. I want to focus on what I love to do, and we're actually doing that now. Now, Tony, what is financial freedom mean to you? Everyone has their own explanation for that. What does that mean to you?
Man, that's a tough question.
Because it changes so much, huh?
It is. I mean, I can't say anything. I mean, real estate has allowed me to do things that I've always wanted to do in terms of being financially freedom. I mean, I've done very well for myself. I start this 15 years ago? So, it's definitely a long game. And it's like everything. You're not going to, so there's a couple people get lucky, but it's not a get rich model for sure. But, it does allow some freedom, and, we do it to make money. Like I said before, this is not a nonprofit, and, I've always been driven by money, but I'm a very competitive person. So, you hear it, and people say all the time, do something you really love, or, be good, do the things you're good at, and the money will follow. And you hear that, and I thought it like, that's whatever. Like, I'm doing this. It does. I mean, financial freedom to me is not having to work paycheck to paycheck. I tell my friends and family, like, when I had the 40, 50-hour work and I was an employee, Sunday nights were awful. About 5 o'clock, all I dreaded is the fact that I felt like I was going to school again. Yeah. Like I had to wake up like, the weekend's over. I got to go to work every single, for 5 days, and I'm already in.
But you know what's
Sunday night, and I'm already looking to Saturday. Like I'm trying to blank out from Monday to Friday. That's the day I quit the world of the 9 to 5. That was fine. That was freedom to me. That was financial freedom. I rarely think about, I got to wake up and do this tomorrow. I got to go to work. I mean,
you know what's crazy about that is that the world from 9 to 5 is really actually a world of 40, 50 hours a week. But I promise you that I bet you're putting in 70, 80 hours a week for yourself in your business. So it's, when I look back, when I was in the corporate world, where you just mentioned right now, I was miserable, same as you. I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted, but I work now more than I double what I used to work in the corporate world.
Yeah, that's not even the effort. It's a reward,
different. It's a different work. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's a different work, and I enjoy it. I rarely feel like I'm working.
Yeah.
I literally got yelled at my wife the other day. She's like, you go to work at like 9 and then you're home by 4. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also working from 4 to the time I'm in bed.
Yeah, you're not completely disconnected.
It doesn't stop. I can kind of come and go as I please. So that's financial freedom to me. It's done a lot of good for, I've done very well, and been very successful, and still trying to grow that. But being able to go on vacations whenever I want, being able to go do whatever I want,
Which I see you taking quite a few already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the king of short weekend, long weekend trips, man. Rarely will you see me gone for a whole week, but I am the king of stretching them out, and that's one thing I tell everybody. And Abiel, you said it yourself, you work hard as possible, and don't let Abiel kid yourself. He's the king of little trips too.
Yo, that's true.
I'm in Cancun, I'm in Breckenridge. Like,
man, if I let my wife, she'll take me on a trip every 2 weeks. Like, sometimes I say yes, I don't even know what I'm saying yes to. We're going
Right.
somewhere.
And that's the beauty of this job. I mean,
Yeah.
even when I take those trips, I can work from anywhere.
Yeah,
I can
technology
do my
allows us to do
job.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that. I guess that's financial freedom, is to kind of do what I want,
Do what you want. Yeah.
not make it a job, and like I said,
You're doing it,
financial
man.
stuff will follow.
You're doing it. Tony, man, it's been great, man. I'll tell you what, I'm very happy to be on board with the team and continue growing with you guys. I'm excited. Today I got news that I might be putting another 140 units in your management in Atlanta. So
Nice.
It's a huge, heavy lift, just how we like them.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from you guys.
So I'm looking forward to continue working with you, Tony. Man, it was a lot of great stuff that we talked about, and I hope the listeners were able to see another perspective of not just a traditional property management company, but a perspective of a management company that pretty much helps investors execute their game plan and their dreams. So Tony, thank you for everything. And I just wanted, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Oh man, they can. I'm always available. I enjoy talking shop. I mean, the best way to get a hold of me is through email. They want to email me at tengel@sdpmi.com. I'm sure Abiel will throw it up on a link or something to this podcast. But yeah, I'm happy to have a quick call. My time is valuable, but there's nothing more than helping other investors, because I had people help me along the way, and I'm willing to share any knowledge I have, good or bad. Take it for what it's worth, 100%. But I'm willing to help.
I'll drop the link. Tony, I know you got to go, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Abiel. Take it easy.